Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and it's time for our Game Week 26 episode of the tier list. We're going to do a tier list today, guys. So if you guys enjoy this one, make sure you do drop a like, do subscribe. Let's get started. Same as always, guys, 5 categories, the 30 most popular transfers in at time of recording. We've got to get these players in order, and we are going to start off right now with a player called Leandro Trossard. Yes, he's going straight in there, and I'm actually going to throw him in. The good transfer. Yeah, he is a bit of an interesting one. He scored in his last 3 games for Arsenal. He has been playing the last couple of games more as a striker, as an attacker, out of position, with Gabriel Jesus out injured. But even if Jesus returns pretty soon, Trossard has been doing pretty well. So if you are looking for a risky differential at 6.5 million, Trossard is actually not such a bad shout. We've got Newcastle up next at home for Arsenal. We know that Newcastle are conceding so many goals at the moment. They are arguably the worst defence in the Premier League at this moment because they just keep conceding goals. They keep conceding chances and it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. Arsenal attackers could be where it's at right now to go into this fixture. Sheffield United after that as well. But it is probably a little bit of a risky short-term punt rather than a solid pick. So we can't put him any higher than that. Next up, Martinez of Aston Villa. Now, Martinez is a unique player in the sense that he is likely to have a fixture in Game Week 29. In fact, it's happening. Like, we look through a lot of the Premier League players, a lot of players will be blanking in 29. Martinez will have a fixture in 29 against a West Ham team that have been struggling to score goals recently. No goals in their last couple of games. So maybe actually Aston Villa, even though I don't love their defence at the moment with a few key players missing, like Kamara and obviously Konsa is injured. We've got Diego Carlos injured as well. Few injuries there, don't get me wrong, but if we're looking for a defence that has been pretty good this season and has a game in Game Week 29, then I guess this is the goalkeeper to go for. The fixtures coming up are pretty decent as well, which brings us to our next Aston Villa player, which is going to be Matty Cash. I think similar situation. I think because of that Konsa injury, Konsa's going to be out for about a month. I think Cash serves you very nicely over this short-term period. If you're looking to wildcard in Game Week 30, 31, then maybe Cash is going to be a nice short-term option to tide you through with a nice cheap defender up until then with the nice fixtures. Up next, we have got Nottingham Forest at home for Aston Villa, so that's a decent fixture. Could potentially get some clean sheets in the near future. And Cash, you know, maybe he'll get the occasional attacking return. We know his attacking numbers have been decent at times. I think Walker is obviously going to be an impressive player at the moment because of his assist not so long ago, just not yesterday, the day before, on Saturday. But at 5.5 million, we've got a good fixture this week against Burnley. Good-ish. It's an away fixture, remember. After that, things do get a little bit tougher for Manchester City. They obviously play the likes of Manchester United, Liverpool after their probable blank game week in 29. They're going to play Arsenal and then Aston Villa after that as well. So I don't think Walker is really top of the list in terms of defenders you'd go for right now. He's an option, but I'm not massively confident about him. Next up, this is a really easy one. Heung-min Son, straight in a void. He doesn't have a fixture in Game Week 26. So unless you're on a wild card right now, I don't really see a reason to buy a player like Son at this game week. It seems a little bit silly. I'm guessing most of you guys have other problems in your team at the moment you kind of need to deal with. You want to make a full starting 11. You probably don't have a full starting 11 right now unless you make a transfer. And if you're making a transfer and bringing in another player who blanks, it's going to cause you some problems. If you've got a lot of Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea and Luton at the moment, Son is definitely a player you do not want to be bringing in as well because you're just going to be adding more players to your list of problems. Alex Moreno, I'm going to drop him into the avoid category. And the reason is because, yes, I appreciate I put Martinez and Cash in kind of a little bit higher than them. But Alex Moreno, a little bit more expensive than Cash for the same position. And I still am a little bit worried about Digne maybe getting some minutes. We've seen Digne get sub-appearances in the last 2 games. He seems to be increasing his minutes game by game. And I do wonder if we might see in the not-so-distant future Alex Moreno might get the occasional benching. I don't see why it wouldn't happen. Next up, Tony. I think he's got to probably go down as a great transfer. We know he is fixture-proof. We know that he has got a decent fixture this week against a West Ham team that are just doing so poorly at the moment. They've got a fixture in Game Week 29 against Burnley. That is guaranteed. And even the games after this one. Not the ideal fixtures, but again, fixture-proof player in Tony on penalties is definitely something that we like to keep an eye on. Next up, Pickford. I feel like Pickford probably needs to go in the avoid section. I'm not really feeling Everton at the moment. They play Brighton Everton next. And again, another team that is super likely to have a blank game week in 29. You guys might have noticed, by the way, that I've kind of grayed out the fourth fixture on these little mini graphics that I put on screen. If it is likely that a player is going to blank, I've grayed out, or well, blanked out the fixture for them, because I think at this moment it is best to assume they're going to blank. For now, obviously some people are going to be wildcarding in the near future or free hitting. That might change how you interact with some of these players, but Pickford, I just don't fancy Everton too much at the moment. The fixtures are just pretty average. I think we can do slightly better than that. Estupinian, another player I'm going to put in the avoid category. I just can't trust him for minutes anymore, unfortunately, even though Brighton just came off the back of a nice result. There was no Estupinian involvements at all. Really disappointed for Estupinian owners, and I think he has to go in the avoid category because of that. Gordon is a good pick. In general, so we're going to put him in the optional category, but this fixture is against Arsenal. It's a tough fixture for Newcastle to play this in-form Arsenal team, a convincing-looking Arsenal team, and you do think Arsenal will score a few goals. Can Newcastle balance it out by scoring some goals in return? I think they probably can, so that's why Gordon is optional, but it's no guarantee. You know, when you're going up against the best defense in the Premier League, it's never an easy ask to get attacking returns from that player. So Gordon is going to go in the optional. Again, another player unlikely to feature in Game Week 29. So if you are planning on going into 29 without the use of a free hit or a wild card, then, you know, Gordon is going to be another problem player. Erling Haaland, probably the captain pick of this game week. I think he is a great transfer to a must-buy. Is he an absolute must-buy? This is the really, really difficult one. I think he has to go at least at the top of great transfer. Again, it is a case of Game Week 29 blank. We've got a tough fixture against Liverpool in 28. In 30 will be Arsenal as well. So actually, Haaland is a very useful player to have. A player you're going to want to have. A player you're going to want to captain this game week. Is he an absolute 100% must-buy? I'm not sure for 100% if he is or not, but he does certainly need to be in and around these areas. I think maybe because he's Haaland and the Haaland factor, we maybe slip him into must-buy just because of who he is. But certainly you can understand off the back of the Chelsea game why you might not think Haaland was a great pick for that game. But, you know, looking at that game, you know, he had so many chances to score. Super unlucky not to get goals in that game. He really was. Another easy avoid is going to be Cole Palmer. No fixture in Game Week 26, which means no point in buying him. Douglas Luiz, interesting one. I'm going to put him in low optional. I think a great advantage of going for Aston Villa players right now is obviously that Game Week 29 guaranteed fixture. Problem with Douglas Luiz is that now with Kamara injured, he is going to be playing a lot deeper, and his open play kind of attacking ability, not necessarily ability, but opportunity, I guess, is going to be at the lowest it's ever been. And it wasn't particularly high before, but now even more so. You really are just counting on set pieces and penalties in order to get attacking returns from him. And I don't think that's a reliable way of getting attacking returns. So he is still an option. He's still going to get some points from it. I still think he is an okay pick, but certainly the appeal of him right now is lower than it was previously. Next up, Lewis Dunk. I guess he's optional, a little bit expensive for what I'd be looking to pay for a defender, but he's more nailed on than the likes of Estupinian. He has a little bit of attacking threat, and he has good fixtures in the next 3 as well, so therefore I think he can be an optional player. Phil Foden, got to be a good transfer still. Yeah, still a good transfer. We still got to keep a close eye on him. Don't love the fixtures after the Bournemouth game. Don't even love the Bournemouth game, really. And we do have blanks in 29 and yeah, stuff like that. But I still think he's a decent player to have, for sure. If you don't have him already, it would be pretty easy to go for him and take the points in the short term and maybe deal with 29 with a wild card or a free hit and still have the likes of Haalands and Fodens and players like that. Bradley, another player straight for the avoid category. Nice and easy. In he goes. No fixture this game week. No point in buying him unless, of course, you're on a wild card and you can bench him for this week. But yeah, not a transfer I'd be making. Similarly, Kieran Trippier for different reasons. Would not be looking to bring in any Newcastle defenders anymore. I said this last week. I'll say this again. Trippier, he is too expensive for a player who is, you know, barely putting up attacking numbers. He is putting up some attacking numbers. He has been getting attacking returns, but he's been massively overperforming. And the clean sheet, it's just not going to happen at all. And we're looking at actually taking minus points for him each week because he's conceding so many goals. Even if he does get an attacking return, you know, if you concede 2 goals, minus 1 point. If you concede 4 goals, it's definitely possible against this Arsenal team right now. Minus 2 points for just playing in the game and just being a passenger, essentially, in a team that that concede so many goals. It's not good stuff for Newcastle defenders right now, so we'll be looking to avoid and, you know, possibly sell as well a lot of them. I know because Trippier does have a fixture this week, it's not going to be easy to sell a player like that, but if you don't have a lot of blank players right now, you know, you actually find yourself in a good position for this game week. Trippier would actually be a player I'd look to move on this week. Obviously, the blank game week players are the priority sells at the moment, though. Ødegaard, optional. He's okay. He's a little expensive, but Arsenal doing very well in attack at the moment. Ødegaard's been putting up some decent FPL scores. He has been overperforming, again, putting up numbers not as good as the results may suggest, which kind of makes a question. Is it sustainable? Not sure if it is or not. You know, his numbers are worse than Trossard's, for example, and he comes in at 2 million more expensive, although he is more nailed on, which is an advantage there. So you can kind of weigh that up. I think he is an option. You know, you've always got a chance of getting attacking returns from any player in this Arsenal team at the moment, but Ødegaard, I don't think is the top of your kind of priority list for players to buy. Pascal Gross, I like. Yep, nice and cheap. Decent fixtures, very decent fixtures on penalties as well. Lots of things that we like there on all set pieces pretty much as well for Brighton. We know João Pedro is now going to be out for a month, which does mean that Gross is going to be the penalty taker for all of these games all the way until the game in 29, which we expect to be a blank anyway. Maybe you reassess at that point. Free hits, wildcards, selling him, whatever. Next up, Dalot. Again, a little expensive for my liking. I do definitely admit that Man United are doing really well at the moment. My issue with Dalot, however, is that, first of all, his attacking numbers aren't great. Second of all, Manchester United, whilst they're looking better in attack, they haven't quite convinced me defensively yet. They're still conceding quite a lot of chances. They're not getting clean sheets on the regular yet. Maybe that's going to change in the near future, but certainly with that Man City game looming into Gameweek 27, I don't know if I'd be looking to buy Dalot. You know, 27 Man City, 29, looking at a blank game week there. He could do okay this game week, but overall, for the price that you pay for him, you'd want to play him every game week. I'm not really sure he's a player that is going to, you know, be really worth going for this game week. Now, let's put some more players that I do like. So, Hee Chan, first of all, I'm going to put him straight in the great transfer category. Really, really like this pick. Got a couple of chances to score last game week. Unfortunately, he did not against Spurs, but, you know, playing out of position as a striker on penalties as well, there's lots of avenues to points. And when you're playing at home against Sheffield United, then, you know, there is definitely a big opportunity here for a player like Hee Chan. He really is a player who could go nuts with like a 15-pointer this game week. I would not be surprised to see him in the double digits this game week. After that, the fixtures continue to be good for Wolves all the way until their blank game week in a few weeks' time. So Hee Chan definitely should be one of the top players to buy this week, particularly at that 5.5 million price tag. What a bargain. Really, really like this one. Garnacho, decent pick, very cheap, very nice. Not quite Hee Chan category for me yet. Garnacho doesn't get quite as many chances to score and assist maybe as a Hee Chan, not a player on penalties, but he's more favourably priced, I guess, at 5 million. Again, we do have that Man City and the blank, which does worry me a little bit about Garnacho. Nice rotation player to have, though. So if you're looking to downgrade one of your midfielders, maybe to make an upgrade elsewhere, then Garnacho is a really nice player to downgrade to in order to do that. Neto, not as keen on Neto as I am Hee Chan, but still a very, very nice pick for this game week against Sheffield United and beyond that as well. If you think you can cover those Wolves players for game week 29 with your free hits, with your wild cards, or whatever, then yeah, Wolves players definitely should be up there on your transfer targets. Hee Chan, Neto, really, really like the look of these. You know, Wolves are a much better attacking team than they have been historically, so I do like them. Next up, Saliba. Now, I'm going to drop Saliba down in the optional category. I definitely understand the appeal of going for Arsenal defenders right now. You know, Arsenal, the best defence in the league, keeping clean sheets fairly consistently at the moment. But this is a game against Newcastle, and we've spoken about Newcastle, how poor they are defensively and how we expect Arsenal to score in this game. However, we also expect Newcastle to score, because whilst they've been the worst defence, they've also been one of the best attacks in the league. Really, really interesting, because it makes Newcastle a great fixture for an attacker, but actually a pretty weak fixture for a defender. Now, granted, Arsenal with their form can keep a clean sheet against anyone, and I wouldn't be totally surprised to see Arsenal keep a clean sheet against Newcastle, but would I bet on that? No, I would not. So therefore, Saliba is going to drop into the optional category. Next up, Solanke. Now, Solanke plays against Manchester City this game week, and yes, Man City are prone to conceding the odd goal, and if Bournemouth do score a goal, you expect it is probably going to be Solanke. More importantly with Solanke, though, the fixtures coming up are nice after the Man City game. We've got Burnley, and then an insanely good double game week against against Sheffield United and Luton Town. That is unreal. That really, really is unreal. And if you're not buying Solanke this game week, well, next game week or the week after, you need to make sure you are buying him. Game week 28 is Solanke captain time. It really, really is. There's no way around that one. So you could, if you've got a Darwin right now, for example, you want to move him on, you're worried about his injury, you know he blanks in game week 26, you're looking for a new striker for this medium-term period, maybe short-term period, then Solanke is definitely going to be your guy. I don't see too many other forwards scoring as many points and Solanke in the game week 27-28 period. 26 is not ideal, so I don't think he's a must-buy this game week. You can 100% wait one more game week before buying Solanke, but if you've got a forward you need to remove now, and you know you want to get Solanke in the very near future, then there's your answer. Right now, Solanke is the player to buy. But there is one other forward that you should be buying if you haven't done already, particularly if you are not looking to wildcard or free hit in and around Game Week 29, and that is Ollie Watkins. So much so, is he a must-buy? Nottingham Forest up next, at home. Great form that he's showing at the moment. No blanks, great fixtures all the way through. I just feel like Ollie Watkins is a player that you have to own. Now, I did sell Ollie Watkins a couple of game weeks ago personally, but the plan was always to get him back this game week because I do think he is, from this game week, a must-have player. I think last game week, 25, you could maybe have gone without him, as was evidenced. You couldn't go without him. Actually, he did really well against Fulham. We didn't necessarily expect him to do that well against Fulham, but he did. He did really, really well. So he's proving it time and time again. And with these fixtures, with the no blanks, he is a no-brainer kind of FPL pick. So if you've got a Darwin Nunez, you know you need to move him on because he's a blank game week player this game week. You need a new forward. Maybe it's 1 week early for Solanke. Well, Watkins is your guy instead because he goes in with the good fixtures straight from now. Over the next 4 game week period, Watkins is probably the better pick than Solanke. But for 27-28, Solanke is better than Watkins. So it's going to be difficult to get everyone in. But I think if you have Watkins, Solanke, Haaland, that's probably your ideal 3 forwards right now. If you can get to those 3 forwards, I think you're going to be in a very good situation. You can maybe throw Tony in that conversation as well. For this game week, I think Tony will do slightly better this game week than Solanke. But next week, it will switch, and Solanke will be the priority buy over the likes of Tony. Right, more Arsenal players. So Gabriel, I'm obviously going to drop him in ahead of Saliba. I think he is a player you want to own, generally speaking. The aerial threat from him is just immense. But again, he's not going to go any higher than low good transfer, just because Newcastle, I do expect to probably score against Arsenal. We saw how Gordon scored against Arsenal last time. So, yeah, these things do happen. But Gabriel, still, even if he doesn't keep a clean sheet, you know you've still at least got a decent chance of an attacking return from him, which you can't say as much about Saliba, who is also more expensive. So Gabriel, just an insane player to own. You know, he's probably the best defender in FPL right now, isn't he? So, yeah, happy to put him in that category. Next up, Saka. Is he a must-buy as well, even with that blank? Do we put him above Erling Haaland in terms of must-buy players? Newcastle at home up next. Insanely good fixture for an attacker. Then Sheffield United. Insanely good game for an attacker. Can we see more double-digit hauls? We're already on Saka back-to-back double-digit hauls. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get another couple in the next 2 games as well. He is in such good form right now. And been nice to see him get a couple of penalties as well. Everything is working very well for Saka, and it looks like that's going to continue to happen as well. I would not want to go into this next 2 game week period without a Saka in my team, and for that reason, surely he's a must-buy. Surely players like Watkins, Saka, Haaland, can you imagine going into the next couple of game weeks without these players? I really couldn't. I don't see how that's going to work out well for anyone, really. Maybe you could take a punt on not going for Haaland. I think Haaland, out of these must-buys, is the closest to not a must-buy, but still, he's still a player you probably want to captain this game week. So yeah, Watkins, Saka, Haaland, these should, very much form the foundation of your FPL team. These are the kind of players that you want to have. Next up, Højlund. Interesting one. Home against Fulham. Another great result for him in game week 25. We knew that he had a good chance of getting goals against Luton, but I think a lot of us, myself included, kind of was looking more towards the double game week attackers rather than a Højlund, and therefore maybe got distracted a little bit by that. Double game weeks are now largely out the way for a little while now, other than that Solanke and Luton Town double game week in game week 28. But aside from that, Højlund, next couple of game weeks, again, if you can cover him for 29, I mean, there's still a chance, to be fair, the Manchester United do play in 29, depending on FA Cup results. But Højlund, he's in good form at the moment, and his numbers are getting better as well. And I think this is the key thing for me. Højlund's numbers are getting better every single game week. They're getting better and better and better, his underlying numbers, because Manchester United are creating more, they are getting the ball to him more, and he is looking more of a formidable player in FPL terms. So, therefore, is he a great transfer? I'm happy to put him in that category. I really, really am happy to put him in that category at this moment. The problem is, who do you sacrifice? You know, if you want Watkins, Haaland, Tony, Solanke, do you have room for a Haaland? You probably don't. So, yeah, he is an option in there for sure. He got to be spoken about in the same vein as some of these other forwards at the moment, and maybe think about switching him out for, you know, Solanke next game week. You know, if you could go for Haaland this week and then Solanke next game week, maybe. Don't know, guys. Depends on your chip strategies and stuff like that. Which leaves one more player, the most popular transfer in of the game week. He is being transferred in by hundreds of thousands of FPL managers around the world. Is he going to have a huge haul in game week 26 because he is so hyped right now? Well, no, he isn't. He's going to score 0 points because his name is Mo Salah and he doesn't play in game week 26. And he is the most transferred player of the game week. Absolutely crazy stuff. Now, I'm sure some people have their reasons, whether they're trying to chase price rises, maybe, and sacrificing points this week in order to build a better team value, because, you know, obviously the FPL leaderboard is sorted by team value, not points. I don't know. Or maybe, you know, wildcarders. I think that's the only reason people are bringing in Salah, is because maybe they're on a wildcard this game week. If you're on a wildcard, definitely understand bringing in Salah, putting him on your bench. But where I look at this, if you are not using a wildcard this week, you're buying Salah for a blank game week. After that, he plays Nottingham Forest. He's probably going to do brilliantly there. After that, Manchester City, tough fixture. After that, very, very, very likely blank game week in 29. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Unless you're on a wild card, I just cannot see myself bringing in Salah right now. I think it's too difficult, and I'm sure you guys have other problems in your team where you can't make luxury transfers on players who blank in 26. So, you know, Siri, define luxury transfer. It is Mo Salah in game week 26. It really, really is. But, hey, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe people think that the Luton Town game is in game week 26. Where maybe people think the Chelsea League Cup final can score you FPL points. I don't know if that's true. It's the first thing I've heard about that. So, yeah, we'll leave that one. Anyway, Salah, avoid. If you're not on a wild card, don't buy Salah. Pretty simple stuff. Anyway, guys, that is the tier list. I'm pretty happy with this ordering, but I want to hear from you guys. Do you think I've got things right, wrong? Anything that you would change in this one, let me know. And if there's any other players that we didn't speak about in today's tier list video that you would like me to rate, let me know in the comments. Just leave the name of the player and we'll try and rank them as well, where I would put them on this tier list. But there we have it. Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure you drop a like. Do subscribe if you are new around here as well. There'll be no stream tonight. I do want to wait until after the Liverpool game on Wednesday before doing a strategy stream. So we're going to do a stream, the early week stream. We're going to do that on Wednesday instead today. So no stream this evening. We'll be back with buy, sell, keep, avoid tomorrow and experts on Wednesday though. So guys, I'll catch you on those videos and I'll catch you later, mates. Bye-bye.